Some jobs may require the addition and subtraction of decimal fractions beyond 6 decimal places. Suppose you had to add 0.3215, 0.68973, 0.2, 0.47, and 0.3998 to find the overall length of the shape on your screen. To successfully add decimal fractions, place the numbers in columns with the decimal points aligned to the left and in a column. Keep the tenths under tenths, the hundredths under hundredths, etc. To avoid errors, fill in the columns with zeros as placeholders as shown on your screen. Now, add the columns as you normally would, beginning at the column on the far right. The length of the shape is 2.08068, or 2 and 80,068 millionths. Often, it is necessary to add mixed numbers. Mixed numbers are whole numbers and decimal fractions. First, place the digits in vertical columns. Make sure the decimal points are aligned. The example on the left side of your screen is improperly aligned. The correct alignment is on the right side. Make sure the ones, tens, hundreds columns, and so forth are aligned properly to the left of the decimal point. Make sure that the decimal is aligned according to tenths, hundredths, etc. to the right of the decimal point. To avoid errors, use zeros as placeholders. Add all the numbers beginning with the column to the far right. Remembering these 5 steps will help make the addition of decimals more effective. Align the decimal points in a column. Keep the tenths in the tenths column, the hundredths in the hundredths column, the thousands in the thousands column, and so forth. Keep whole numbers in their proper column. Align the ones under the ones column, the tens under the tens column, and so on. To avoid errors, add zeros as placeholders. Add the columns as you would for addition. At times, you may be required to add decimals and fractions. Suppose you need to add the length of a piece of pipe measured in decimals and a coupling measured in fractions. First, convert the proper fraction to a decimal. In this example, 3 and 5/8 inches becomes 3 and 625 thousandths inches. Align the decimal points and digits, keeping the tenths under tenths, etc. Add zeros to lessen errors. Add as usual. You may be required to add complex decimals. Remember that a complex decimal is a decimal fraction and a proper fraction. Some complex decimals are shown on your screen. To add the numbers on your screen, extend the complex decimals the same number of places. Express all fractions in common terms. Add as usual. In the work setting, you might be asked to shave 36 ten-thousandths inches off a piece of metal 629 thousandths inches long. First, align the decimal points. Next, make sure the tenths are under tenths, the hundredths under hundredths, and so forth. Add zeros as placeholders so that the minuend has the same number of places as the subtrahend. Subtract as usual, keeping the decimal point in proper alignment. You may be required to subtract mixed numbers. For example, you might have a piece of pipe 11 and 4,672 10,000th inches and only a 9 and 36 hundredths inch space. You would need to know how many inches to cut off the end. First, align the decimal points. Make sure the columns are aligned, tenths under tenths, and so forth. Add zeros so that the number of places in the minuend equals the subtrahend. Subtract, keeping the decimal point properly aligned in the final difference. You find you would cut off 2 and 1,072 10,000ths inches from the pipe. Suppose you must subtract a simple decimal and a complex decimal. For example, find the difference for 109 and 3/15ths and 37.5. First, extend the shorter complex decimal until the fraction is removed or until there are the same number of places in both minuend and subtrahend. Align the decimal points and digits in proper columns. Subtract as usual. Just as there are reminders for addition, these 5 reminders are helpful for subtraction of decimals. When subtracting decimals, keep the decimal points aligned. Next, keep the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so forth properly aligned. Keep whole numbers aligned in columns, ones under ones, tens under tens, etc. Make sure both the minuend and subtrahend have the same number of places. Add zeros as needed. Keep the decimal point in proper alignment in the final difference. Suppose you have $10 and spend $4.32. How much do you have left? You would use the subtraction principle for whole numbers and decimals to find this answer. Be sure decimal points and digits are aligned in proper columns. You find you have $5.68 left. You have $15 and need to buy items that cost $7.52 and 6 mils. Round the mils to cents by adding 1 cent to the 52 cents. Raise to the next cent if the number of mils is equal to or greater than 5. You should pay $7.53. To find how much change you will get back, subtract $7.53 from $15.